One might call this my life's library. Who is that one? Me. Listen, I want to talk to you about consumerism and about overconsumption. I don't even know if this is how you say it in English, about buying too much shit, specifically buying too much shit in the book/literary community. And listen, you might be looking at my background and thinking, hypocrites, you little hypocrites. But this is a topic that I want to discuss. What is the difference between a life's library and consumerism and endless book hauls and unhauls? I don't know if this is going to be an absolute definition. I don't have the power to do that. I'm just going to give you my opinion on how I see it and why I have so many books and why I don't consider myself to buy into consumerism. Yeah, this will be a very rambly video. I didn't make a script for it or anything. I just want to talk about this earnestly and just give you my opinion because these thoughts are in my mind already. So you're gonna have to bear them. You're gonna have to bear them. Obviously, I'm calling it a life's library because of that freaking John Green reference. But I've always had books. Even when I was a kid, I had books. My mother always bought books for me. Whenever I needed them for school, she bought them anyway. But I started collecting books when I started reading more frequently, which was after blindness. This is not going to be about blindness. I'm not going to explain to you the amazing wonders of that book. Go read it. But after that, I started buying and collecting books. The thing is, I'm not deluded. I know I'm not going to read all the books that I own. I know that for a fact. I know that I will die with more books in my shelves that I didn't read than the ones that I read. I know I'm going to die without having read all of them. But the thing is, I want to read all of them. Like all of the books that you see in my shelf, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and more somewhere in a storage. I want to read them. When I buy them because I cannot wait to get home and read them. It's just, there's too many. And I can't read them all at once. And I know, and sometimes I buy a book that I know I'm not going to read probably for 10, 20 years, but I know I want to read it and I need it there for when I want to read it because I can recognize something that appeals to me, even if I don't read it right now. I have books that I've bought years and years ago and I haven't read yet, but I also have books that I bought years and years and years and years ago and I read last year. It depends on so many things, but the bottom line point is, I don't buy them to show them. I buy them to read them. Even if I have to live with the tragedy of knowing I will never read them all. I want to. I would sell my soul and become a ghost just so I could read all of my books. If I could, which I can't. Whenever I buy a book, I almost never buy them online because that's the problem I have with it. I have to pick up the book, read the first few pages, potentially the first chapter to know if I want to read it or not. Most of the books I buy from bookshops and book markets and book fairs because I just need to read the book a little bit before I buy it to know that I want to read it, actually read it until the end. The idea of buying a book for its cover or for a blurb or because I saw it online on Instagram a bunch of times is not really a thing. I did try that. I try it. I'm not one to denounce something without trying it. I did it. And actually, if you go to my Goodreads, you will be able to tell in which year or couple of years I did that because a lot of my reviews were 1 or 2 stars because I was buying books just for the hype without testing whether I would like it, without doing my routine of doing the things I know I need to do before I buy a book. And that's the thing that happens. If you go to my Goodreads for most of the years that I've been reading and reviewing books on Goodreads, you'll see that most of my ratings are from 3 to 5 stars because I really pick my books. And those 1-2 years where I have a lot of 2 stars are books that I bought for the hype. And it didn't work out. And this is the thing that I want to talk to you about today. I can't tell you what to do, and I can't really judge you for wanting to have a lot of books and for listening to the hype and buying a lot of books from the hype and, performing with book hauls and all that stuff. I mean, that's what we're encouraged to do. That's the whole thing of the consumerism culture. People wouldn't buy into it if everyone else wasn't doing it already. It's this stupid feeling that they call FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. The fear that if you're not doing what everyone else is doing, if you're not consuming as much as everyone else is consuming, you are missing out on something. This idea that buying more and more and more will fill some hole inside of you, which it won't. So I can't completely judge you if you do that, because I get it. I understand wanting to be part of that. But what I want to challenge you to think about is what you truly, really want. Because when I was buying a bunch of books like online and just from the hype and whatever, what I wanted was to have that feeling of belonging and of being as good as the people I see online. That's what I wanted. I wanted to understand the hype. I wanted to be part of it. And I wanted to be part of the idea of reading, the idea of being a book girly. I think that's what it was. But that's not what I really wanted. The only thing I want from books is to read them, is to find good stories, stuff that I relate to, stuff that I can spend hours inside of. And the moment that I was like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care about what other people are doing. I don't care about how many books other people are reading. I don't care. I just want to be able to sit down or lay down and enjoy what I'm reading. I don't want to buy a book because it's super hyped online and then skim all the pages because it's so boring or uneventful or just badly written. Alumni, whatever that book was. So I guess this is what I wanted to say. The difference between a life's library and consumerism is that a person who has a life's library or has a book collection, who truly loves their book collection, wants to read them all, who would never even imagine unhauling a book. Like, the amount of books that I have unhauled in my life are almost none. I sold a couple, resold, and then I donated about 5-10 books a few years ago out of my 400 something books that I own. That's how much unhauling I've done. That's the thing. If you have a book collection that is dear to you, you would never imagine giving any away or unhauling them or selling them or donating them. Those are your books. You might not live long enough to read them, but you want to. Those are your babies. You collected them with love and time, and it tells other people who you are. It's part of the choices you make for your own life. It tailors, it constructs who you are in your book collection. And consumerism is a whole other animal because it's just about appearances. It's just about trying to stay on top of the trends. It's about belonging to the trend, belonging to the idea of book online. It's about creating this endless stream of content. And I hate it. I can't judge you for doing it because I understand why you do it. I understand why it's so appealing to buy into this bullshit, but bullshit it is. If you are having to do unhauls every year and to give away 50, 100 of your books, baby girl, you never even wanted them in the first place. You just thought, I don't even know what you thought, honestly. Maybe that you would love them. Maybe that you would understand the hype. Maybe that you just wanted to look like you read a lot and own a lot. I don't know. Honestly, tell me in the comments, do people who buy and sell, haul and haul a lot of books all the time, why do you do it? Do you feel like you're buying into this consumerism bullshit of always having a lot, of always going through a lot of objects, in this case, goddamn books? It's the same thing as thrifting clothes, isn't it? It's like this idea that it gives you a certain status, or it clusters you in a certain group of people who with desirable traits. I don't know if this is making any sense. I'm just rambling on the internet apparently. But yeah, this is my book. This is my book. This is my video about the difference between a life's library and consumerism, where in a book collection that you love, you would never consider getting rid of your books because you think you're going to read all of them. You are delusional enough to think you're going to read all of them. You chose them very carefully. You spent time picking the books that you truly wanted to buy and add to your book collection. You browse through them, you have them displayed because sometimes you need a new book and you're just going to see which one of these pearls that I bought 10 years ago I'm going to read now. I don't know. But if it's just a consumeristic act, do you even care if they burn? Like, do you care if those 100 books that you unhauled last year are burned to death? As if they are people. Like, do you? I feel like that's the thing about it. It's just, if you're just buying it to buy it and to make another video or to take a photo or to show your huge wall-long library, like, what's the point? It becomes hollow. It becomes soulless, really. So I guess this is my conclusion, my point. If you're watching this and you have a bookshelf behind you, maybe you take photos of it or videos of it, or maybe you just don't do any of it, but just have a big ass bookshelf behind you. I want you to look at all of your books and think whether you want to actually read all of them, or if you just bought them for the hype and have absolutely no intention of reading them and will probably unhaul them in the future months. Do you really want to read all those books? Do you really want every single one of them in your shelf because you think that given enough time you will read every single last one of them? Or did you just buy it because you saw it online a lot? Anyway, just to finish this little ranty critique, which apparently it's what I'm loving doing these days, being my judgmental self. Can you tell that I'm mentally already 80 and complaining about everything in the world? No, just to finish this, I'm going to just tell you quickly what I do to select my books, because I feel like that's an important point. I look at the cover, obviously. And if I recognize the name of an author that I've already read and loved, I always pick up the book, and I never read the blurbs or like the back description because I don't want to get spoiled. I go through all of the initial pages, see when it was published, if this is a new edition, all that stuff, read the notes, read the introduction. I do all of that. Yes, I do all that. And then I start reading the book. I'm at the bookshop. Maybe I'm standing up. Maybe I'm sitting down. I read the damn book. Sometimes I read the first chapter. And sometimes I'm completely decided I'm going to buy it. Other times I don't buy it then because some bookshops are asking too much money and I'm not going to support that. Sometimes I kind of like it, but I don't like it enough to buy it. So I put it back on a shelf and maybe revisit it later. And sometimes I buy it later. The Gentleman from Peru. Sometimes I research the author to look them up, see if they have any controversy that I don't want to support. I research some of their other books and stuff like that. And a lot of times, this is going to sound insane, guys, but I need you to understand that I'm a big book lover. Like, I'm genuinely, this is my life. I always visit the same bookshops, right? I'm used to them. I know them in my city. So for the books whose authors I don't know, I've never read, I wouldn't be able to recognize them, right? So I would just pass by them. I spend a lot of time in bookshops. You can't judge me for this, but I go through all of them. And you kind of acquire a skill. Like, I already mostly know when books are going to be something I'm not interested in. Like the romance, really cheesy romance books already have a certain way they look, and I already recognize a lot of the author names, so I don't even touch them. There are a lot of names that are recognizable that write certain types of fiction that I don't usually enjoy, like thrillers and stuff like that. You can just tell. But for like most of them, when there's no tell and I just don't know the author, don't know the story, can't immediately recognize a genre or anything, I kind of just pick them up and read them a little bit. And that's how I pick them. And this is why people ask me, what do you do in a bookshop for 3 hours? I go pick books. And listen, I know there's an argument against online shopping with this technique, but I know that there are some places where you can read the beginning of the book online. So if you are thinking that I'm a psychopath for paying that much attention to the books that I buy and being so selective and doing so much, that's just the way that I found that works best for me. I mean, I think you can check my Goodreads and see that there are years where I only rated books from 3 to 5 stars because I select the books that I buy. Like the books that you see in my collection, I took my time. And I feel like this is another thing that annoys me about this aspect, this consumeristic aspect about the book community, is that sometimes things seem so superficial. And I've seen so many videos of people being disappointed with huge like book names because they just read it from, they saw it online a bunch of times, they ordered it online, and then it arrives at their home, they read it and they hate it. And it's like, everything is done so fast. Everything is done to get so fast to get you to the, everything is done so fast to get you to the point where you are reading the book and enjoying it. But having books as a hobby is so much more than just sitting down and reading it. And the whole idea of a life's library is that it is a curated collection. It isn't just a bunch of books that you bought to decorate your library. It isn't just a bunch of books that you bought because they are talked about a lot. It's a collection that represents your interests, your values, that represents the things you want to have in your life, you want to have around you. It's a life's library. And yeah, that's the rant I wanted to put you guys through today. Tell me in the comments if you disagree, if you think I was too harsh on certain things, if you want to give me a different perspective on this whole thing, if you think I didn't explore certain aspects of this conversation. Let's continue it in the comments because, again, I didn't script this. I just wanted to talk naturally about this and potentially make mistakes while doing it because I will not subscribe to the perfectionism mindset. So sorry. Clearly, I'm being very critical today. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments and let's talk about it. I really like the discussion in the comments of my video about annotations, so let's do it here as well. Yeah, see you guys later. Bye.